All right, so I got to ask you about your Cowboys, our Cowboys. 1 p.m., I think it's Central Time today. Jerry is going to speak to the media in Oxnard. You'll be in Oxnard August 3rd to the 6th when things really heat up. What do you expect? I mean, what should we expect from Jerry today, sitting alongside Brian Schottenheimer and I imagine Stephen Jones?
Well, Jerry generally takes these things over, as you know. So, but this will kind of be, all of these things have been Schottenheimer moments this off season. So this is a chance for him we've certainly, in fact, he's been on our podcast, which Rogue Media Network produces, the Doomsday Podcast. Mosley, that'd be me, and Ed Werder that are part of. And so Brian Schottenheimer has been a guest in the past, and we'll see if he's on at this time. But I think, there'll be a lot of questions. Obviously, everybody will be looking to see Micah Parsons was supposedly going to go up. Tomorrow's that first practice, even though he's kind of holding out. It's not a very good holdout because it may be kind of a hold in type situation. I don't think he's really doing a good job listening to his agent, which Jerry loves. Jerry loves this kind of deal where he's got a guy that can't stand being away because it means that Jerry has a little bit of leverage over him. But except for, I promise you, no matter how long he holds out, I mean, he's going to end up getting something insane like, 42, 43 million a year to play edge for the Cowboys. He's going to get more than TJ Watt. So it's so silly, like everybody waiting on this thing because we all know what it's going to be. But yeah, I think that'll come up. And I think everybody will be kind of trying to get at, what Schottenheimer's trying to get out of this camp and what he wants the message to be and how he wants to set the tone. This will be a big, even though Jerry will probably talk the most, this will be a big Schottenheimer day and kind of getting that era started. And, we'll see. I mean, he's proven to be pretty good and pretty engaging. So I think he'll be fine in this format. But I think you got Micah Parsons, and that's going to kind of be the early big story going on. Although there's this little side story about which one of my colleagues kind of got going about this Jaden Blue, this running back.
All right, this is where I was going next. All right, so your boy Glenn Stretch Smith says that Jaden Blue's work habits, from what he's hearing, are suspect and borderline lazy, in quotes. And what's the merit to that? What do you make of that? I got to get your take on this.
Yeah, well, it's I think Stretch, who you just referenced, who is a longtime friend of mine,
former Cowboy scout.
He's a former Cowboy scout and coach. He coached for Switzer, and he coached with Switzer at Oklahoma back in the day. He played at Texas. He learned a valuable lesson. I think every once in a while, and I've had it happen to me, you kind of start talking on a podcast and everything, and then all of a sudden, when you see that, like, one quote come out, even heard Scotty Scheffler talking about it after the British Open, people not understanding what he meant because they try to take a small bite of it. So I think Stretch was interested. Now, there's safety in numbers. Now others have come out and said, well, yes, I had been hearing that same thing. You know how reporters do, Pete? Yeah. And Scotty, they're like, I knew this, but I just, but I can confirm this. Like, okay, just let him have his little scoop or whatever. But I don't know what to exactly make of this. I have looked into it and kind of delved into this guy's past. I mean, I tend to think, let's just look what he did in college. And he was pretty remarkable for a lot, especially last season. So I don't really read too much into this, but boy, if this doesn't light a fire into him, I mean, that's not fun to show up as a rookie and you already have people questioning your work ethic.
Yeah.
And so, and if you look kind of closely at this guy's background, Stretch, it's pretty interesting. Jaden Blue moved his senior year of high school, and from what I can understand, just did not play his senior year. Like I try not to like. I mean, this was a long time ago now, so I don't think he should be. It's like these people that say dumb stuff on Twitter when they were 16. Yeah. I don't make too much of that stuff, but I would say there's a little bit of a troubling history of a guy maybe not desperate to put in the time. Let's put it like that. I would not. I don't know. As far as that comment you said, because I think we have to be careful with wording and phraseology, especially in the climate we're in. Like it's not probably a great, and I'm not even saying Stretch said it. It was more like maybe he was quoting somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think that this guy probably will come to camp very motivated to kind of show off and show everybody that he has been working. So again, if he comes out in the preseason and looks great and runs for a lot of yards, then this will be nothing. If he struggles or gets hurt early, then this will stick with him for a while. And that's the way this thing will unfold.
I hate to drill down on this, but one more question for you, because Stretch just about as well as anybody. Is it out of context for him to say something like this? Like, that's not really who he is, trying to drum up stuff like that.
No, you're right. I mean, he usually is just trying to kind of bring insight, but he does know people with the Cowboys organization. And so I would just say that it was not my podcast. It was that I do with Werder. It was on some kind of locked on thing that, Cam does too. Locked on Cam, where you just kind of go around writing the craziest headlines possible. It used to drive me nuts. And Cam would come up with something, Baylor rips, Aranda rips somebody. It's like, Cam, just settle down a little bit here.
No, I always say, hey, Matt, real quick. Here's always, I do an impression. Like, ready? Like, is Baylor going to leave the Big 12? Is Dave Aranda taking a job at HEB? Locked on Baylor's next. Like, that's how they start. It's like,
okay. I mean, I get it. You got to get up there in the algorithm, and man, I need Scotty's help doing all that. I've decided soon I'll be making some announcements, and I'm just going to take over some algorithms. I don't even understand what that is, but I'll definitely be kind of jumping in the middle of some algorithms. And I may end up like Cam and I'll be trying to tell Scotty, let's come up with the wildest headline possible. But no, that's not really like Stretch. And that kind of made him uncomfortable that suddenly he was being quoted in all these stories out there like a source or whatever. I think he was just trying to kind of shed light on a deal. And Stretch is funny because he played at the University of Texas, but he's kind of a harsh critic of everything that go. Like, you would think, oh, they're riding high, back-to-back playoffs, Sark. He must love Sark. And he doesn't really have that mentality, Stretch, a guy who played tight end at Texas. Can you imagine him, 1983 or whatever it was, like 6'7", lining up at tight end? I mean, that really would have been
an exciting time to be a college football player as well, too. That's probably really cool.
Yeah. And by the way, he's tried to fight me before, and that is just scary. Like, at one time, in typical Mosley fashion, he used to help us in Dallas radio, and he was in there on a conversation, and I heard him say something a little off color, and I, being me, made a loud comment, like, hey, could we clean up our language around here or something? And I think he ended up chasing me down the hall. Like, I'm not talking about being funny, like ready to crush me. And back then I was in my early 30s and pretty quick, still had some pretty good quickness. And so I was able to, even though my nickname in college, by the way, was Slow Mo, but it really wasn't about my speed. It was just the rate I did everything, talked, moved, everything. But yes, I was known as Slow Mo in the FIGAM house, even though we didn't have a house.
What's your favorite? I want to ask you one more pertinent, like Cowboys, like now training camp question. But what is your favorite memory of covering Cowboys training camps? I always look back on, and I don't think you were there for this. You might have still been in college, but the Dale Hansen, Barry Switzer interview where it got really hot. That one, I just remember reading about that when I was younger. Or like, the Everett McKeever one with, Michael Irvin. Now that was, you weren't there for that. Like nobody was. That just came out afterwards. But like, was there a moment for you that became unforgettable?
Well, I mean, I just was there for the first several years. I mean, I was there a lot over the years, but I just, the things that come back to me all involve Bill Parcells, because I started on the beat 2003, his first year, and he really got forced by Jerry to have T.O. there. And so that was a circus. And, I kind of, at that point, had formed a decent relationship with T.O. Like many of my relationships, that would eventually go south and have him threatening me from a podium after the game. I say threaten me. He was just like, I saw what you said. I heard what you said. It was after a win, the Cowboys win. And there was like, 100 and something reporters around he was on the podium, and he starts saying, I heard what you said, Matt Mosley. I heard all that stuff you said. And of course, we turned that into a promo. It was like the greatest thing that ever happened to me. But, and he had some weird Cleveland Cavaliers player with him, Damon somebody. I always forget who that was. He was really good friends. I don't think it was Raja Bell. I think it was Damon. I just can't think of a little guard. Damon Jones was hanging out with him. And one of them was looking at me out in the locker room, or right in the hall outside the locker room. And I think it was T.O. was saying, he was doing his shoulders up and he was saying, what you going to do, chump? What you going to do, chump, to me? And I'm literally looking at him like, yeah, you think I'm going to like fight T.O.? Like, I may be dumb, but I'm not insane. So anyway, but all that T.O. experience, and I just remember calling Larry Lacewell, who was Jerry's when he signed T.O., and he gave me that great line. He said, Jerry would sign Charlie Manson if he could catch passes or something like that. I was like, and he tried to get me not to use it. I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. That's too good. That's too good. We got to go with that one. But, so anything T.O. related, and then I'll give you one more. I forged a relationship in 2003. I think it was during camp. Larry Allen was not, who would go on to be in the Hall of Fame. And sadly, we lost Larry in recent years. But Larry was so out of condition that he couldn't practice early on. He either didn't make weight or couldn't pass the conditioning test. And so every day he was on the bike. And so I was with the Morning News, and we turned it into like a Tour de France type thing, Tour de France. And I would go over there, I'd give daily reports of like how he was doing on the bike and what Larry was up to. But Larry got kind of a kick out of it, and he didn't talk to any reporters. I was the only reporter he would ever talk to in those early years. And then it got ruined because he was holding out one year from workouts, and they sent me over to his house, and that did not go well. I had to go knock on Larry's door, and that was not great. But yeah, that was interesting because you had you had a Hall of Famer in Parcells, and you had a Hall of Famer in Larry Allen, and they did not see eye to eye. And Larry had a certain way of lifting weights. He wanted to do, and then Bill had in his mind, what's that weight, clean and jerk kind of thing, that kind of lifting.
The Olympic weight lifting.
Yeah, he liked to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Larry liked other stuff, maybe just the bench and other things. I don't know. I mean, Larry was, he could bench something like 600 pounds. I mean, it was incredible, but they didn't see eye to eye. So I had a front row seat to all that. So I guess those are some moments that come to mind.
All right. Realistic expectations for Dak Prescott coming into this season. I mean, I don't know what to expect. Do you?
Oh, I think he can put up huge numbers. I think that now the problem is, as you well know, he's going to be in a division with two very likely MVP candidates. And it's just, that's hard. Of course the Eagles and the Commanders quarterbacks. I think that, but I mean, I think he's going to put up enormous numbers, and I think they got Pickens in a great spot. He's in a contract year. He should take some of the pressure off CeeDee Lamb. I mean, they have the makings of a very, very exciting passing game. And even they have somebody, and that'll be a story you read about in the coming days. They have a backup tight end who's challenging Schoonmaker, and they think he could end up being like a big-time threat. And that's this Brevin Ford, I think is his name, kind of a hyphenated deal.
Okay.
Man, this guy is going to be one of the fascinating stories of training camp. So all that to say, whatever number, what's the huge number now for NFL quarterbacks in a year? 4,000?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that the big one? I
remember when I was a kid, if Joe Montana threw for 2,000 yards, that was a ton,
Oh, if you want to have fun, go back and look at the 70s and 80s, like college quarterbacks that you thought were good, and they'll throw for, 1,300 yards, 18 interceptions, and like 12 touchdowns. And you thought these guys were like great. Like, man, my college quarterback was awesome. And you go back and look at these numbers are so bad. The passing game was horrible.
But so you think Dak has a chance to put up huge numbers. Now this is the last question for you. Defense, obviously the Cowboys needed a lot of help. Also, they needed a lot of help up front. Seems like they got a little bit of help through free agency in the draft. But if there's one guy on either side of the ball, right, that is going to be extremely impactful and can help really turn the tide in these areas of need, who would it be? Give me someone on offense, probably up front, that can help stem the tide and move this team forward, and then a defensive addition that you feel like can change things.
Well, I mean, some of these players on defense are going to be, you don't know when they're going to show up, but that Ravel, the cornerback, I mean, whenever he's ready to go, man, because I don't know, this Diggs thing would scare me if I'm the Cowboys. Like, he's so important to them, and there's some weirdness going on there. I mean, he's mad at somebody, and they're holding back on some of the money for him because he didn't do the stuff in the offseason. There is some real weirdness going on with him. So I would say, even though he's a third-round pick, that may be arguably the most important rookie on the team. Now, the new, they got all these Tylers, right? And the one that came from Alabama, that's huge. And I think he's going to be solid. Huh?
Yeah. The offensive guard.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that's going to be, extremely important. So there's a couple of names. I do think Tyler Smith needs to emerge. They've lost Zach. Zach Martin has retired. In recent years, they've now lost, Tyron Smith's gone. He'd already been gone last year, but you've lost the huge leaders of your offensive line just over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
And this Tyler Smith kind of needs to be the guy. Everybody's ready to move to this rookie, but I think this former Tulsa Mauler type player, I think he's capable of it. I think he's been embracing it. I think he's talking even more to the media, even heading into this camp.
Yeah, he said just yesterday that the expectation is a Super Bowl, which I think is
yeah, he's fine. I think he's good. I think you need to look at him, and then this team, no team in the NFL loves putting together a nondescript group of running backs like the Cowboys. It's just like, who can we get that was good like 4 or 5 years ago? Like that's who we want. We don't. Yeah, have they been good in the past year or two? No, sir. But were they good like 4 years ago? Yes. Let's get them, and that's what they do. So I just think they don't seem to care about that position, which is so weird when you've had so many greats over the years, and the fact that the running game across the NFL has become. I mean, look at what the Eagles did last year. I mean, my gosh, look at what Saquon did. Is crazy that you would keep going into the season with such a lackluster type thing. So maybe, who knows? Maybe Stretch lit a fire under Jaden Blue. On the offensive side. Well, yeah, I just hit the offensive side. So I think I've given you plenty.
You have given me plenty. And look, hey, when are we going to get an announcement out of you? What's going on? I mean,
I just want to milk this for all it's worth. I wanted to say my goodbyes to ESPN Central Texas, and I kind of started to do that my last day on the air there. And again, very appreciative of my time there. And the new owner operator is a very nice guy, former Baylor legend, and he was very good to me in terms of allowing me to kind of think through all this. But yes, this week we'll roll out the announcement. I won't be moving too far, and I'll still be talking a ton of Baylor, a ton of Cowboys, and it'll be exciting. And there's a chance I'll be even doing, maybe spend a little more time with you and Scotty, and that excites me. That
excites me. You know that.
Yeah. So this will be great. And but yes, and I may come on this program to make the announcement if you'll have me. Who knows? But we'll get the word out there.
You let me know. Matt Mosley, Cowboys insider, and someone who's near and dear to my heart. You're the man, Matt. I appreciate you coming on today too.
Thank you guys for having me, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. See you, bud. Oh, it's the great Matt Mosley, baby. It's something about talking to a guy like Matt Mosley who's forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. This time of year is exciting, and almost as exciting as the announcement that's coming up here in a little while. Cannot wait to hear where Mose is headed next. All right, we're going to take a break. Thank you, Slovacics. Thank you, Mom, for letting me do this here. I mean, this has worked out great. It's about 85 degrees here in Philly. Nice breeze. My mom has an umbrella here. So, and I got, of course, one more time, we'll show you. I found the Steve Smith jersey. Smitty, Charlotte Bobcats, baby. Chris Weiler, great job on the uniforms. I always love these colors. All right, we'll be back. Thanks, Slovacics. Quick break, and we'll wrap it up.